Are you craving a nice hearty chili or maybe a bacon cheeseburger? Maybe you can't decide. Why not have both with Hungry Girl's Crockpot Bacon Cheeseburger Chili? It's only 3 bites the way I make it, and it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I am sharing on this channel recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. And surprise, surprise, today it's someone else's. This recipe for Crockpot Bacon Cheeseburger Chili comes from a Hungry Girl, and I will have the link to that recipe down below for you. I have made a few modifications of my own, and I will talk about those as we go along. But if you like this kind of thing, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to comment down below if you enjoy this recipe, if you've tried this recipe, or if there is another chili recipe that you have been using on your weight loss journey that you enjoy. Let me move this out of the way so I can show you the ingredients that we were working with today. And pardon my speech, my jaw suddenly decided to start tightening up just as I was ready to start recording. So hopefully you can catch everything that I am saying, and I will try to be as clear as possible. So the ingredients we are using: 1 cup of crushed tomatoes, a half a cup of ketchup. Now in Hungry Girl's recipe, she used just regular ketchup. In mine, I'm using no sugar added. Usually I would use the sugar-free GUs, but I ran out. And honestly, when I calculated each in the app, it came out to the same bites anyway. And if you don't know, I am on the iTrackBites Better Balance plan, which is equivalent to the WW Blue plan. So we also have 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. That's not easy to say with a stiff jaw. 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard. We have an onion and a bell pepper. We have a can of kidney beans that have been drained and rinsed. We have a can of diced tomatoes. I use the petite dice. I prefer the smaller dice. And those are not drained at all. You want that juice in there. And another addition I am making that's not in the original recipe is 1 can of corn that I've drained. We also have, for seasonings, 2 tablespoons of garlic, which is basically 2 cloves, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. So Jennifer Lynn, I know you're watching, and I know that those are your 2 favorite ingredients. So this is a recipe you need to try. And the star of the show. Once again, I keep forgetting the stars of the show. This is a pound of 96% lean ground beef. So that is what we're going to be using. And there are 3 other ingredients that we'll use at the end, but I will show you those when we get there. So let me get things out of my way so we can start throwing this together. It comes together pretty quickly, and it's going in a crock pot. So you just really not a lot of work to it, but we will get to that right now. Now, I'm going to show you, once again, I showed you in another video, how to dice an onion, but this one's gonna be chopped, so it's not as fine as a dice. But instead of peeling it, which can sometimes be a pain, what you can do is cut the top off, like I just did, and then cut it in half, and then just peel off the outer layer. So it's much easier to just get rid of, because I've often had trouble trying to remove an onion skin and not having a lot of success with it. Let me discard this. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna need a cup of onion, and what you do is just slice across the width that way, and then you're going to make slices downward here. And because we're chopping, you don't need as many slices across as you would if you were dicing. You'd do more to make it a finer dice. We're not doing a fine dice. We're doing a chop, which is a little bit bigger. And then to make sure I don't lose any of this onion goodness, I'm just gonna cut these little edges off, get that out of my way, and then do the same. Slice across through the middle, down. I would say with an onion this size, probably like 5 slices down, 5 or 6, and then probably 3 across this way. And hopefully that will give us about a cup. I'm not gonna worry if it's a little under or over. It doesn't have to be that precise. Okay, so that's pretty much a cup, maybe a little less, but nothing that I'm gonna worry about. So about a medium onion would give you about a cup of chopped onion. Now, when it comes to cutting a pepper, what I used to do was cut it in half, right down the middle, and then scoop everything out and try to pull out the ribs, which can be a bit of a pain. So I'm going to show you an easier way that is a bit quicker and doesn't waste that much of the pepper either. So you're just going to cut off what they call the cheeks, the outside of it. So you're going to cut and just follow along where that rib is for the most part, and try to get as much of that out as you can. And you're going to go around all 4 sides of it, or 3 if it happens to be a 3-sided pepper. They all run a little oddly sometimes. So there we have all 4 cheeks removed, and then these little bits are still usable. So I'm going to move those seeds out of my way, and I'm just going to cut those off so I can still utilize that bit of pepper. You want as much flavor as you can get. And on the bottom as well, you can see this big piece at the bottom. Hopefully my hands will be steady enough for this task. They seem to be getting a little wonky. So let me clear up this pepper carcass and the seeds, and I'll be back to show you the chopping part. Okay, so here also you want a cup of chopped pepper, and these little pieces that I trimmed off, if any of them are a little too big, I'm just gonna, they don't have to be too small of a piece. But then I'm gonna cut down this way, and then across this way to make our little chops. Now you could use a red pepper if you want. You could also add in some jalapeno or habanero if you like it a little spicy. This is not a spicy dish, but it is a delicious dish. If any of you follow me on Instagram, and I'll leave my Instagram handle here, as well as the Facebook group that I have. If you follow me there, then you know I already made this once. And I did not turn that camera on. So there you have it. I had started it all, had it cooking, went to go turn off the camera, and it wasn't even on. So I'd recorded none of it. So this is take 2. So, but it was delicious, and we definitely don't mind having it again. Okay, my hands are making things jump a little bit more than I would like, but that is what it is. Got to work with what you got. All right, so before I chop up this last cheek, I'm going to just measure and see if I have enough as is, because I may have a cup of that already. Because peppers, yeah, like this was a medium pepper, not too big, and it's pretty much a cup. I'll chop up the rest anyways because a little extra is not going to hurt. But one small to medium pepper should be sufficient to get you a cup. Because like I've said in other videos, that's always bothered me when I read a recipe and it says 3 cups of broccoli, a cup of pepper, a cup of onion. I don't know how much I'm supposed to get. Am I supposed to get a pound? Am I supposed to get 1? So I like to, if I can, let you know what the situation is. All right, so I'm going to add this to the onions. So I'm going to get this stuff out of my way and then we'll move on to the next step, and it's getting pretty close to being finished. Okay, so all we're going to do here is we're going to take the crushed tomatoes, add those to the bowl. With the ketchup. Now this, as I said, is no sugar added, so it cuts down on the bites or points that Hungry Girl was getting. For her recipe, she got 4 blue points, and for mine it comes out to 3. So it just depends on what you're using. So as I've said before, just make sure you're putting everything that you use specifically into the recipe builder just in case something's a little different. So the mustard and the Worcestershire join in. And we're just going to whisk this up so that we get it well combined. It doesn't have to be crazy. That's it. Now we're going to add in the crushed tomato, the onion and pepper, the kidney beans, and my addition of corn. I like to be able to bulk things up a little bit more with 0-bite, 0-point foods like corn. Although I did notice, because I was putting this all into the recipe builder as I'm doing it, so that I could get the calories and the macros for the way I'm doing it for those people who follow those things. And when I entered it in, and I've mentioned this in other videos where the calculations can come up off, and the calculations, some of the 0-bite foods actually count as points even though they're showing up as 0. So make sure you hit on iTrackBites. There's a little tab that you can hit for making sure it's a 0-bite food. And I showed a demonstration of this in another video, which I'll link down below so that you can find it. So I don't have to reinsert it here for those who have already seen it. But you just want to make sure, if you know it's a 0-bite food, that like this corn was coming up as like 2 points, 2 bites, and I know it's 0. So you'd have to alter that with a little button, and no one come for me for the way I say button. I do get picked on about it. I won't say by whom. He shall remain nameless. But if you happen to guess correctly down in the comments, I'll let you know if you're right. Okay, so this is all mixed up. let me get this out of the way, get the crock pot over here, and we're ready to plug her in. All right, so I have my small crock pot. It will fit in this smaller crock pot. I do have a larger one, but I think that's too large for this, and it will fit. It'll come up pretty high and you'll think, oh, it's not gonna work, but it fits in here. And once it cooks down, it'll sink down a little bit more. So I'm gonna use one of these crock pot liners. Now this is not the correct size for this. This is more for my bigger crock pot, but it still works and it saves me from having to clean out the crock pot after. But if you're not using one of these, what you would do at this point is spray some cooking spray in there and get that situated. But what I'm going to do is just hold that bottom in and fold over these edges so I can get this crock pot lined. Good enough. Now we're just going to add in our pound of ground beef. And then we're going to chop that up. Now I'm using a sturdy wooden spoon here to help make sure it's broken up. And if you are using a liner, you'll just want to hold on to the liner as you're doing this. But you want it broken up. I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy small pieces because after it's cooked, you can still break it up. But this is just to get it started so you're not getting like one giant massive burger at the bottom of the pan. Now we're going to add our garlic, our chili powder, 2 teaspoons, and our teaspoon of cumin. And then I'm going to just mash it up a little bit more so that those seasonings get into the beef a little bit better rather than just sitting on top. Okay, now we're just going to add in the veggies and the sauce. And you want to be careful if you're using a smaller crock pot like I am that you don't go off the sides here. And now you're just going to stir it. Again, if you're using a liner, hold on to the liner while you're stirring some of that hamburger and sauce around, making sure everything's mixed together. And if you see any big chunks of hamburger, you can knock those out a little bit. But there we have it. It's all set. Now you can cook this on low for 7 to 8 hours. It's already almost 2 o'clock here. So we're gonna have this for dinner at 6. So I'm at perfect time to have it on high for 3 to 4 hours. And then once it's done, I'll show you what it looks like and show you those extra ingredients that we're gonna add to the rest. So I'll be back. Okay, we are ready to finish up our bacon cheeseburger chili. I have some pasta boiling over here. The first time I made it last week, I made it with rice, which is great, but I don't want to use the bites on the rice, so I'm cutting it down by having some Fiber Gourmet elbows, and this is not sponsored by them, although if they'd like to, no. So I'm cooking up some elbows, 2 portions, one for me, one for Paul. The other 3 things that you are going to use are a slice of bacon, center cut bacon, for each one. Some pickles that you're going to chop up. I have about 4 each. I figured that's about a good size. And then some fat-free cheddar cheese. Now the difference between my version and Hungry Girl's is she used only 4 slices of bacon for 7 servings. She did suggest center cut or turkey bacon, but these are 1 bite each. So I'm gonna use 1 slice per bowl of chili and 4 pickles for each. And then it's about a tablespoon of fat-free cheddar. In Hungry Girl's version, she did reduce fat, so that probably is also where some of her points came from, or bites. You can actually have up to a 1/4 cup of fat-free cheddar if you'd like, and it will not increase the bites. So now I'm going to slice these pickles up. I'm just going to cut them into 3 sticks basically, and then cut across. You can do it however you want. And I was a little skeptical of the pickles at first, but they actually give the chili a nice salty, briny flavor that I think really enhances it. So, you know, don't be afraid to try it. But if you're not a pickle fan, you can leave them out. Or if you love pickles, you can add more. Just make sure you're not using bread and butter pickles, because those will add points eventually. Now the bacon, I'm going to cut in half down the length and split that way, and then go across into little pieces that can distribute throughout the chili. And you can obviously cut this however you like. You can leave it out if you'd like. It would probably reduce it by a point or a bite, but it definitely gives it a nice smoky flavor. So there's the 2 servings, 1 for me, 1 for Paul. And I will get the cheese ready. Now once the pasta is done, I will be back to serve it up and show you the final product. Okay, the pasta is done. I'm going to split it between our 2 bowls. And I am a weigher, so I'm going to weigh them out. And apparently throw them all over the place. This one will be mine, so don't worry, Paul, when you see this. That one's mine. Okay, so let me bring in the chili, which has been sitting right there, hiding from you this whole time. And I'm not gonna weigh the chili, so I don't need the scale anymore. Now, if you have a scoop like this, a ladle, typically the bowl of this is 1/2 cup. And if you look inside, like in here, maybe yours might tell you the ounces. Mine does. This is a Calphalon, so high end, maybe they're deciding that they should tell us. But 1 ladle is typically 1/2 cup, so 2 of these would be 1 serving. You'll get 6 servings out of this. Let me turn this off, it's really bubbling. And stir this all around. Break up any chunks of burger that might be lurking underneath the surface. And remember to, if you're using a liner, to hold the liner in place while you're doing this. Otherwise, you may end up defeating the point of the liner by spilling some of the chili down into the slow cooker. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's a big one to break up. All right, so I'm gonna make this an even ladle so that we get a true cup. And like I said, you can serve this with rice, you can serve this with quinoa, you can serve it with whatever. When I made this last week, let me get this out of the way. When I made this last week, the second day when we had leftovers, I didn't want to make any more rice. So I took some keto buns that I got from Aldi that are only 1 bite each. And I made little garlic breads out of those. So you can play around with it, do what you want. Now to add the extras, you're gonna sprinkle on the bacon and the cheese. You wanna make sure the cheese gets on the chili so that it can melt a little bit. And you can just throw this all on together if you'd like. Or throw it all over the place like I'm doing. And the pickles. Okay, let me clean up a little bit and I will show you the end. All right, so there you have it. An easy, throw it in the crock pot and let's get out of here dinner. And it's only 3 bites the way I made it. And I will list how I made it down below, as well as a link to Hungry Girl's original recipe. Hungry Girl's original was 4 bites and 7 servings. Mine is 3 bites for 6 servings. And the calories for mine are 300, not including the pasta. For those following macros, the fat is 6.2 grams, the carbs are 28.7 grams, and the protein is 26.7 grams. So it's a nice, hearty dinner that I hope you will try. And if you like this kind of recipe, if you'd like to see more Crockpot recipes, give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed and are looking for some recipes that you can use on a weight loss journey, whether it's iTrackBites, WW, calories, or macros. And hit the notification bell for the next time I upload a video. Typically the main meals like this one come out on Fridays. Wednesdays I do little short ones for snacks or side dishes or things like that are much shorter. So just hit the notification bell and you'll be alerted whenever I post anything. And don't forget to comment down below if you are interested in this recipe, if you've made it, what variations you've made of it. And I hope that you will enjoy it as much as we do. And we are going to go enjoy this right now. So until then, bye.